Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. I hope you're all doing so well. Welcome back to another episode of True Crime and Makeup. Today I am covering a crazy case. It is from a while back. It is the case of Sawney Bean. Sawney Bean was a clan leader of 45 members. He was the head, and they resorted to a life of cannibalism, murder, robbery, and they resided in a cave in Scotland and were said to have murdered over 1,000 people before being caught and each of them being executed. So it's literally crazy. Like, I was just watching House of Eyes and I was like, I wonder what inspired the House of Eyes. Went down this huge rabbit hole, came across the case of Sawney Bean, and I was like, wow. Wes Craven, when he done the original House of Eyes films, like back in the day, that's what he based it on, the Sawney Bean case, and it is crazy. So if you like true crime and you like makeup, don't forget to subscribe down below. Put the notification bell on so you don't miss when I upload, which is 2 to 3 times per week. Consistent new cases all the time. If you want to know any of the details of the products used on my face today, they will also be down below, along with my social media handles for my Instagram and TikTok. But ultimately, just make sure you subscribe here. Now, one thing when I was like reviewing this case, I did realise that the things that they would steal from people was mostly jewellery. And it just got me thinking about my jewellery. And I actually want to share a company with you guys today by the name of Ana Luisa. I'm sure you've heard of them before. They are a sustainable jewellery brand. They focus on luxury items at an affordable price. So you can get tarnish-free, beautiful, gorgeous, sparkly items for a fraction of high-end prices. Amazing. This necklace in particular that I'm wearing just now, I will give you like a close-up on the screen, but I have had this for over a year and it is still in like mint condition. It is so sparkly and the chain is still really nice and gold. None of my jewellery with Ana Luisa goes green. I wear it in the shower. I shouldn't, but I do. But I wear it in the shower and it literally is just as sparkly as it always has been. It's crazy. It's amazing. And I actually picked up this gorgeous ring from Ana Luisa as well. And it's just such a statement ring. Usually when I wear rings, I'll like stack loads up so it has like loads of impact. But this one just does it all by itself. The earrings that I'm wearing, I'll give you like a little zoomed up video of those. They are absolutely stunning. They're so dainty, but they're so eye-catching at the same time. It's just like really classy jewellery that you can wear every day or for a special occasion. I'm just obsessed. Ana Luisa have kindly given me my own link, which will be in the description down below. So if you click on that link, you can shop all my favourite pieces with Ana Luisa, as well as getting some money off. So it's a good time for everyone. I love and adore Ana Luisa. I've worked with them since I started my YouTube channel, to be honest. They've supported me for a long time and I really like supporting them as well. So if you are looking for jewellery for yourself or for a loved one, please check out Ana Luisa. I truly believe there's something for everyone. And thank you so much, Ana Luisa, for collabing with me on this video. But that's enough rambling for me. I'm sure you want to hear about these cannibalistic mutant murderers. So without any further ado, let's get into the case of Sawney Bean. So to be honest, the reason that I'm doing this case is one night I was in the mood for a cannibal film, right? I love horror films. If you know me, you know. If you've been here a while, then you know. I love horror films, and usually the cannibal ones aren't always my fave, but there is a few good ones out there, right? So I was like, I'm going to watch The House of Eyes 2. The House of Eyes 2 is a brutal watch, but very much has you on the edge of your seat. So I'm watching The House of Eyes, and when it was getting really brutal, I was like, who the hell comes up with these films? So I googled, Wes Craven came up with the original The House of Eyes. And then I was like, what inspires this though? Because like, this can't be true. This like cannibal, incest, mutant thing cannot be true. And then I was shocked to make the discovery that The House of Eyes is based on a Scottish clan of a family who was incest and cannibals, and they terrorised the people of Scotland. And they lived in a cave. So I was like, I need to cover this. So today we're going to be covering the case of Alexander Sawney Bean and his cannibal family. So Let's go. So Alexander Sawney Bean was said to be like the head leader of a 45-member clan in Scotland throughout the 16th century. If you hear 16th century and you're thinking, not my cup of tea, I want true crime, modern day, stay tuned. I thought the same when I read this, but it is insane. Stick with me here. Now, they murdered and cannibalised over 1,000 people. 1,000 people, and for the most part, went undetected for the longest time. So Sawney Bean and his clan members, they would end up being caught after King James VI sent out like a search party looking for them, and every single one of them wound up being executed. So Alexander Sawney Bean was born in East Lothian. I cannot say 16th century. If I have to like enunciate it like that, ignore me. But Alexander Sawney Bean was born in the 16th century. Now, Bean's father was a ditch digger and a hedge trimmer. And like Sawney Bean did think about joining the family trade. He wanted to go into like the family business of trimming the hedges and digging the ditches. But he said that he just wasn't fit for this type of work. This type of work was just too much. And he felt like his expertise would be better elsewhere. So Bean's feeling a bit depressed because he feels like he's not joining the family business. He doesn't have his own business. What does he really have going for him apart from the sick thoughts that was going through his mind about cannibalising and murdering people? So he actually is able to find a woman who very much shares his depraved thoughts, feelings and urges. So great for him. And they decide that they're going to run away together. Now, this woman is described as vicious, aggressive, and just a disturbing human being all around. And she went by the name Black Agnes Douglas. Now, I believe Black Agnes was referred to as Black Agnes due to people believing that she was a witch and involved in black magic. It's called black magic. I'm not entirely sure if that's true, but I couldn't really find any other reason, and just like doing 2 and 2, I'm getting 4, getting Black Agnes, black magic. So that's what I think. So at first, Bean and Black Agnes, they are just happily going about robbing people. That's kind of the aim of the game. Like, Bean never had a trade, Black Agnes never had a trade apart from the black magic, I'm assuming, being a witch, getting up to witchy stuff. But because Bean never joined the family business, he never really had anything to fall back on. So they both decide that work's just no for them, and the best way to get some money is robbing people and terrorising them. But robbing people got boring really, really quick because Black Agnes and Bean just they weren't into that so much. I tinted my eyebrows earlier, but I don't think I had enough developer, so they've kind of went ginger. So again, with no money, you need a place to live, but like if you've no money to buy a house, then what you gotta do? Well, Bean and Black Agnes, they decide to move into this gorgeous little coastal cave, right? It's idyllic, it's in this beautiful place, but what they would do would not be so beautiful and not really good for the economy. So this beautiful little cave that they would move into was in Benane Head between Girvan and Ballantrae. The cave was like 200 yards / 180 feet deep, and it was quite good for them because during high tide the entrance to the cave would be completely blocked off, so like no one would be able to see them or like get into their cave, which was very good when they were getting up to their criminal activities. Now, the other thing that was really perfect about this cave for Black Agnes and Bean was the fact that this big rock formation was equipped with loads of tunnels, loads of like secret little entrances in and out, and it spanned for like over a mile, which was like perfect for them. And then being this young happy couple, of course wanted to have a hideous family. Yeah. Hideous, like hideous to look at, like mutant, like it's given Bobo from Wrong Turn. So Black Agnes and Bean ended up having 6 daughters, 8 sons, and then they had 14 granddaughters and 18 grandsons. And if you're wondering, Anna, like, did the sons and daughters get girlfriends and boyfriends and then have babies? No. The brothers and sisters got together and made babies. Little mutant, ugly babies. Incest babies. Also, I don't know what it is, right? Why is it that these, like, big cannibal, mutant, hideous looking families are so desperate to procreate? Like, it's hardly the genetic lottery. Why are we making so many of them? So they can take over. So at this point, Bean and Black Agnes, they have a lot of mouths to feed and they don't have any money. So in order to make ends meet, instead of going out and getting an honest job, Bean decides he's just gonna commit robbery and murder, because if he murders them, then there's no witness to say that they are robbing people. Nobody even knows that this cave is being lived in by this incestual cannibal family. Obviously, like I was saying, it's a big family, so Bean doesn't really feel like he can do everything himself. You know, he can't be that family man, that provider. He needs a bit of help, so he brings in the sons and daughters, he brings in the grandchildren, and they all start committing the crimes together. And I mean, maybe Bean just thought this would be his version of the new family business. Maybe this would be his trade that his children, his grandchildren, and his grandchildren's children could take on in the future. You know, keep the Bean name alive. Now, without any real sort of like life skills, business knowledge, how to start a business, you would think that Bean wouldn't be very good at organising stuff. But my God, could this guy build a trap, ambushes, like booby traps, the lot. He was very good at this. Too good, actually. So, Sawney Bean and his clan of inbreds, they would set up these traps, these ambushes, and they were targeting either like passersbyers, and they were targeting passerbyers who were either on their own or a small group. They would take on a small group, but not a large group. No, because you never know. The large group, they might be able to overpower them. So the Bean clan would rob these poor people, kidnap them, take them back to their cave, and then they would wind up brutally murdering them. Then once these people were murdered, the Beans would then dismember their bodies and proceed to cook and eat them. Yeah. And also, if there was any leftovers from the corpses, the Beans didn't believe in food waste. Absolutely not. So they would take the remaining bits from the bodies and they would pickle them and store them in jars. What is it with these like cannibal people? Like, they're always pickling stuff. Is this why we started having pickles and like pickled eggs and stuff? I don't think I'll ever eat a pickle again. Nah, I don't think so. They were pickling them in case they wanted a snack later, in case they got a bit hungry, a bit peckish. So once the Beans had felt like they had completely stripped the body of any meat or anything that they would like to eat from the bodies, they would then, with the dismembered body parts, they would discard of them in barrels, which worked out quite well for them because they would then just put the barrels into the water, which would then usually carry them to shore. So like the body parts were washing up on beaches, and the local residents believed that animals were probably behind the attacks. But one thing I couldn't confirm, and this is what's annoying me, is were the barrels open so the body parts just like glided out of them and the body parts washed up on shore? Or were the barrels sealed and the barrels washed up on shore? Because like if they think it's animals, how do they think these animals are packing up the barrels? Surely they must have been opened and then just the body parts floated up? Do you know? So after a while, the sheer volume of people who were going missing and then discarded body parts were turning up, the locals did start to think like, something's off. Something feels wrong. Something ain't right. They had no idea what it could be. And the thing is, with the Bean clan, they would be in their cave all day and then they would only come out at night. So the locals and like residents of that area weren't even aware just how close they could be living to the murderer, or in this case, murderers. When the Bean Clan would come out at night, most people would have been in their homes anyway, but also it was so dark by the cave that you wouldn't even see them come out. So once the villagers became aware of just how many disappearances were going on, and then how many body parts were just randomly showing up once people went missing, they decided to like band together to find the culprits, because they didn't want anyone else in their community being hurt or like murdered by these people, you know? So they decide that they are going to go out, have a hunt, have a look about, and really they wanted to leave no stone unturned. Now, one of the search party members, they did take notice of the cave where the Beans resided, but they thought, that's impossible for like a person or persons to live in, because it's a cave. How are you going to live in a cave? Little did they know. Little did they know. Now at this point, the villagers are getting very angry and very frustrated because they cannot locate the murderer or murderers, and more people are going missing and more body parts are appearing. So they just start pointing the finger at every Tom, Dick and Harry that walks by them on the street and assumes that they're the murderers. Now at this point, like I said, the people in the village are pointing fingers at every person that walks by them. This results in loads of innocent people being hung. Yeah, like no evidence. They're just like, do you know what? It could be you. It could be you. Up to the gallows, let's go. They were just hanging everyone. Like if you looked at someone the wrong way, you're being hung. You know? Like if you accidentally kicked someone on your way by, you're being hung. It create like madness. And I believe that they were just hanging all of these people in the hopes that after at least one of them, the killings would stop. So I think they were just hanging until they got the right person. So the village, they continue to hang these innocent people. And the more people they hang, the more bodies are just turning up. All these discarded body parts are just washing up, regardless of how many people they've hung. So they're like, who could it be? So they started to direct their suspicions to like innkeepers and people like that, like in that sort of area business, because they believe that they would be the ones who would see the travellers last. Now, and obviously, if the suspicion is switching over to you, you're going to want to run for your life. So many innkeepers were worried that because people were starting to believe it might be them, that they would then be hung. So loads of them just like abandoned their business. Like halfway through the day, they were like, nah, F this, I'm out of here. And they would just take off and leave their businesses abandoned. So this one day, there was like a local fair that had taken place, and the Bean Clan, they'd run out of food, their pickle jars were empty, so they were like, we need to go out and get some more resources. So they head out to see if there's anyone coming back from this fair late at night. So the Bean Clan see a husband and a wife that are on horseback, and they decide, that's our next meal. Them right, perfect. Look at them, amazing. So they go to basically encircle this couple. So the Bean Clan is swarming the couple and the horse. They start by ambushing them from behind, and they take the woman down immediately. As soon as they take this woman down, they begin gutting her while she's alive, like screaming. They begin gutting her and like gnashing on her insides. Now the husband, he's like shocked in pure horror what he's just seen happen to his wife, so he tries his best to escape the Bean Clan. Luckily he still had the horse, so he was able to like jump over several of them, like the place that they were at, somehow he was able to jump over them. And luckily he had both a sword and a pistol on him, so he pulls those out as well. Now with the sword and the pistol, he does use them to fight off the Bean Clan, and luckily he is released from their grip, so he's on the horse and speeds away. So then as this man's escaping on his horse, there's another 30 like fairgoers who are also leaving the fair. Now remember what I said, the Beans don't like to mess with larger groups. 30 is quite a big crowd. So they're approaching, the man's going toward them to obviously tell them what's happened, and then the Beans start to retreat back to their cave. But at this point, loads of people have seen them. So they've exposed where they live and the fact that they're the cannibalistic murderers that's terrorising the town. So luckily, obviously, like I was saying, the husband has escaped and he quickly makes his way back to Glasgow. When he gets to Glasgow, he's like, I need to tell someone what happened and what's been going on. So he actually goes directly to King James VI and he explains what happened to his wife in front of him and who these people are, where they live and where they hunt. And it was great because he was actually able to provide like the exact location where they lived. Like he could point out the exact cave where the Bean clan were staying. So hearing this news, King James VI, he gathers like a mob of 400 men and he himself leads this mob of 400 men directly to the Bean cave. How amazing, like taking action right away. I love that. These days you'd have to file like an instant report and wait a couple of years or wait until something happened to you. So love that from King James VI. So the King's bloodhounds, they basically led the charge to the Benin cave where the Beans were residing. And it is said that when they went inside, it was absolute carnage and chaos. Like limbs just sitting around dangling, like they had tied up some body parts and stuff, so it was like kind of like decorated. It's given Ed Gein but more extreme. Also, I was looking in the cave, they found like a pile of loot, so the things that they had stolen, it was basically jewellery from the people who were going missing. So they could absolutely say 100% this Bean family were the murderers. Great. So there are two kind of separate possibilities of the story at this point, so I'm going to give you both and then we'll decide which ones we believe. So the most common believed one is that once the Bean clan were discovered, they gave themselves up without a fight. So it then says that they were taken to the Tolbooth jail in Edinburgh and then they were transferred either to Leith or Glasgow, and this is where they would all eventually be executed. Now it said that the locals were so disgusted and angry with what the Bean clan had done and they demanded that their punishment be more extreme and more brutally unbearable than just mere death. So because of this demand, 21 of the Bean women were burned alive and then the Bean men were all dismembered and left to bleed out. Now for Sawney Bean and some of the other men, they actually had their genitalia cut off and threw in a fire, and then their hands and feet were also severed and threw away, maybe into the fire, and then they were left to bleed out. Yeah. Now apparently Sawney Bean's last words were, "It isn't over, it will never be over," and it just makes me laugh because like it makes me think of Rambo First Blood when Rambo's like, "Nothing is over." That Sawney Bean, very dramatic. Then after watching the men die, like the women who were alive still had to watch what happened to the men, and then after that Black Agnes, the other woman and the other female children, they were all tied to stakes and burned alive. And these punishments that the Beans received recalls the medieval like hanging, drawing and quartering of men who were convicted of treason. And then of course women who were convicted of the same would be burned alive. And then the second version of events that they sort of believed could have happened was the search party had detonated gunpowder at the entrance to the Bean cave and they all just choked and suffocated to death, which I really hope's not the case, because what Sawney Bean done to thousands of people, him and his clan, absolutely required the first punishment. And I believe back in that time, I reckon that's what happened. Now, there is also another element to this story which is absolutely crazy. So it said at one point, one of Bean's daughters had basically grown bored of being in the Bean clan, right? So she wanted to leave and she moved to the town of Girvan, which was near where all the murders and that took place. And apparently she planted this tree, and when she grew it, it was called the hairy tree. Must have looked hairy or something, I don't know. But apparently when the locals found out what the Bean clan had done to people, they uncovered her identity as well, and then they wound up hanging her from the hairy tree. Her own tree. They hung her. So that is the end of the legend of Sawney Bean. Another true crime case covered this week, which was cannibals, murderers, everything in between. That is it for the story of Sawney Bean. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I know enjoyed is always the wrong word, but I hope at least you found it interesting. It was like a bit of history, but mostly true crime and makeup as per usual. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Please put the notification bell on so you don't miss when I upload, which is 2 to 3 times per week with new interesting true crime cases. All the details for things used on my face today makeup wise will be down below, as will my link with Ana Luisa. Another huge thank you to them for working with me on this video. The link below will take you to all my favourite pieces to shop, and it will also give you some money off, so definitely check them out. They're an amazing brand, amazing quality, and they deserve all the support in the world. I will also leave my TikTok and Instagram down below if you want to give me a follow there, but ultimately just make sure you're subscribed. Any case recommendations can be left in the comments, or you can send them to my email, which will pop up on the screen now for you. But I really hope you enjoyed, and until next time, I'll see you later. Bye!